right, guys, we're back at it again with another Nam Studios podcast. Today we have a full house. We have the Jones Hollow Realty Group, led by Esperanza and her team. So we got Esperanza, we got Janelle, and we got Marissa here. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. So first, tell me how you built this team, Esperanza, and how you met everybody.
So it goes back sometimes without even knowing, me and Janelle, for example, originally met back in college. And without knowing, I think that's kind of where real estate started, because I remember living off campus and we were paying really high tuition. And I was like, these landlords are making us pay per room in an apartment. Like, what a scam. It's still cheaper than living on campus, right. From that perspective. And I remember thinking, one day I'm going to own property up here and I'm going to rent it out to students, where I'm still going to get a profit, but I'm not hurting their pockets like that. And it kind of worked out that way. So then Janelle kind of when did you get your license, Janelle?
In 2022. But I reached out to SB, I think, during Esperanza.
No,
we go way back. We go way back. Exactly. But I reached out to her during the pandemic, 2020. And I was just asking her questions like, how did you get your real estate license? Because I saw what she was doing. And I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur myself. So I was like, let me reach out to her. And then I got my license in 2022. I tried to do my thing on my own with another brokerage, but I just wasn't feeling any connection with them. I didn't have a mentor. And so that's when I reached out to Esperanza and I was like, look, I think I want to join, Jones Hollow with you. And she's like, yeah, let's make a team. We'll be a team.
Which brokerage is it? You must call them out. No, I'm just like.
That's nasty. Yeah.
What about you, Marissa? When did you get yours?
So same year, we actually got our licenses at the same time. My story's a little bit different. I've actually been looking at penny savers since I was 8 years old. At houses. I've always been interested in home ownership. I didn't grow up in a home that my mother owned or my parent owned. So I always wanted that. I always used to look at vacant lots and be like, well, why didn't I put a park here? Why didn't I do something? I was just always inquisitive about land and building generational wealth. And I feel like I had took the traditional route, got my degrees and everything, but real estate was just always that thing in the back of my mind. So I finally got my license. We did it together. And I was with the team too because I do come from, my dad does investments, flips, and rehabs and construction and all of that. So he encouraged me to get my license. But I wanted a little bit more from the experience. And I saw that with Janelle and Esperanza. And I was like, can I join too? And, Esperanza was sweet from the beginning. But one thing is, she vetted me. She wanted to know where my mind was because she told me, I'll never forget, because it was December or January. It was snowing out when we were trying to meet up. And she was like, I need someone who's going to have a similar mindset of what I was thinking. She never said what it was. And then we talked for an hour.
I think we were on for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, it was a while. We were just talking about all these things. And from there, it just clicked. We went to our first, I think the first time we ever did something was an open house. She had an open house and we just been, working ever since and really doing it. And it's been really great.
And it goes deeper than that because she came highly recommended because Janelle knows her since they were 12.
Yes.
So we decided to get our license together. We studied together. We made sure that we passed together. So
YouTube University.
YouTube University is where it's at.
And Google Meet would only let us meet for an hour.
Right.
And I was mostly the leader of the group.
Running the sessions. So we made sure to make it happen.
Okay, so what made you, because you just told me off air that you're in Texas now. What made you go from New York to Texas?
So honestly, that was just more of a personal move, a spiritual move. The quality of life that I was living here in New York was just shifting in a way that wasn't really positive for my mental health, my physical health. And I just felt I'm thankful that like SB didn't give up on me. I'm even getting emotional like thinking about it because they could have easily been like, okay, well, you're not going to be here anymore. Like, that's it. And I was like, no, like the whole point of being real estate agents is being entrepreneurs and being able to travel and do the work from wherever you are. And we closed a deal since I've been in I've been in Texas for about a month and 2 weeks. We've closed a deal and we have our listing. So God is good. God is faithful. You move with faith and you don't move with fear. And, you know, it doesn't mean that I'm never going to come back, move back. It's just right now I have to, you know, I'm on a special journey right now.
Girl, if I could move out of New York, I would too. But obviously my studio is here.
I know, right? Exactly, because now I do have connections in Texas. So if you're trying to relocate or, you know, it's a great way to build wealth. And that's what we're actually thinking about as a team is like, okay, I'm there. How can we invest?
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't know Jones Hollow was like, is it nationwide? You guys have everywhere?
No, so funny enough, Jones Hollow is actually a boutique agency in East Islip.
Okay, so you're like first Texas agent type thing?
Technically, in a way. So like I don't have my real estate license in Texas, but I have been networking with mortgage loan officers and real estate agents there. And essentially like as agents, we do have referrals. So they're like, if you have someone who's coming from New York, we you know, we'll work it out as a business. So,
so you like the middleman and you get your little cut. Okay,
exactly.
Okay.
And then
and you, Janelle, you're in Queens.
Yes, I'm in Queens.
I'll say, and as a boutique agency in East Islip, are you going back and forth, or
all the time? I'm actually going out east today for an inspection. But you know, I used to live in West Babylon, Suffolk County, so a lot of my network, they live out there, and it's nothing. I hop on that Belt Parkway and make it happen for my clients.
And like I tell my clients, like we meet in the office maybe the first time for our like initial consultation, but after that we're meeting at the properties. You know what I mean? So like where the office is really is not that important.
Right. Okay. Exactly. And though I'm in Queens, you know, I've had deals in Brooklyn, so all over. That's just a part of the job.
I feel you. I have a job in West Islip, Long Island, so like healthcare. Okay. So like I'm always back and forth from my minutes, so I feel you. It's not that bad, especially in the morning when it's early.
You just gotta time your commute.
Yeah, that's also So like, what would you say your guys' best like month is? Like, how many sales have you closed in like a month?
I don't know. I guess I would say a best month that I consider a best month is like we all have something that's cooking in the pipeline and like closing. Okay. And that's a really good feeling. We have like a group chat, and it helps me even stay motivated because I feel like we're in it like 99.9% daily, right? Yeah. And like it's just, you know, talking about mindset before, like it's a industry that requires a lot of resilience and faith. And you got to do a lot of work.
I'm sure, because the market right now is crazy. So there's not a lot of inventory. Yeah.
Oh, you know about the market.
You know, let me find out TikTok University. But you know, all the networking groups.
Follows me.
Yeah, that's what it is. He must follow
all the networking groups that me and Esperanza and like I know a bunch of real estate, and I always see like, oh, it sucks right now.
And that's the thing. People come up to me wherever I go, and they're like, it's my toughest year. And I look at us and I'm like, you struggling? You struggling? I'm not struggling, thank God. Yeah. You know? And so it's a very different form of providing the service that we do. Like there are some people who look at real estate very transactional. Right. And we understand that it's not that. Yeah. You know, whether you're a first-time home buyer, whether you're selling and this is your retirement plan, or whether you're investing, you know, you want to make sure that where you're putting your money, it's going to grow. Yeah, and definitely. You need someone who knows how to handle that.
So how do you take navigating? Okay, I'm just gonna come out with that. How do you take navigating the industry, especially in Suffolk, as women of color? Like, I mean, because
so you know, I just learned this over the weekend. I went to a wedding in Indiana, and this means you ate. So that question right now, just
so because you know me, like I want to start looking for a place in Suffolk next year, like early next year, right? Getting finances ready and everything, but I know the rules in selling and everything is you can't really say like, hey Theo, this area would be best for you, and like, you know, there's all steering and all that stuff, and
so
people.
I don't know if you know, Theo, we're not allowed, because of fair housing, we're not allowed to comment on school district or anything like that.
I know, but it says it on Zillow. Like, come on, though.
Right, we
Like,
provide the resources where you can find that information, but I can't give you commentary on it.
I just need to know if the school
And
system
if
is
you do,
diverse.
let's report it.
If you find a house that you like, now we can provide you with the information. You know?
Okay. So, like, how do you navigate that, and, you know, having these listings, and do you run into that, you know, pushback a lot of time being women in the industry? First of all, being women in the industry, I don't know if there's a lot of women in the industry, but then being women of color, especially in a very non-diverse area of some parts of Long Island.
I think the main thing I try to remember is that I'm a professional at the end of the day. I never want to have something where it might affect my client, but as long as I'm a professional and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't really worry about it too much. I also grew up in Suffolk County, so, you know, I understand the dynamics, but I just try, you know, be professional and make connections with people. It's a people business. So you have to see me as a human, I see you as a human, and we're here to service our clients. Point blank, period. Like, you know, you just gotta play no games about it.
And we have a lot of conversations that sometimes, you know, and communications is huge. Like, there are sometimes the messaging can be misinterpreted, and so there are a lot of times we'll have conversations and we're like, doesn't this come off the wrong way? And I'm like, just get them on the phone, and you're as pleasant as you could ever be, you know, and people's attitude changes. Maybe you caught them in the wrong moment. That happens. We're human, you know. But like Janelle said, it's definitely relationship, and like maybe I turned your day around and you're gonna favor me a little bit when you see my offer, you know.
Yeah, it's important to just show up as yourself, your authentic self. The deals that I have gotten have always been, they're like, I just feel something. You know, like I feel like I can trust you, and I just know like I'm in good hands. And then from there, I feel like you can empower. I like to empower my clients to know that like you can do this. You know, like this was written for you. This moment, whether you're selling your house or you're buying a house right now, this is something that I'm going to, in a way, like shepherd you. I also come from a social service background, like college counseling and all of that. So I have a keen understanding of emotional intelligence from my own perspective and from others. So I understand that it can be very stressful. So just kind of listening, like, okay, you're stressed out right now. And sometimes that's all people need is to be heard. So I feel like my race and my gender, my ethnicity, it holds power in a way to help me be relatable to somebody who may look like me or come from a background like mine, and be like, okay, like I can relate to her.
Okay, awesome. Now, like, the other question is like, what if someone comes up to you and says, my budget's only $400,000. I know it's tough out there.
It's tough.
It's tough out there to get some.
We can make it happen, you know.
Really?
Sometimes, you know, it's just about educating the clients. You know, what can we do maybe to increase your budget? Let me connect you with a mortgage lender that can. Maybe you need a co-signer. You know, things like that. So sometimes it's just the starting point. But we can always grow from there. I've had clients in the past where we started at a lower budget. Things change, and now they've got their house. So it's always possible, but you have to keep educating yourself, and that's what we do as a team, definitely. We want to make sure our clients are empowered, like Marissa said, and educated, And
you have to be ready, willing, and able, right? Like, if you have $400,000 as your budget and you don't feel good enough, there's nothing that I can do to make you feel good enough. You got the $400,000 budget, and now we're working with each other and God moves mountains, right? And things have happened, and I can speak personally about clients who have worked up and been able to get the home, and also just through their, like, I've seen things where they've gotten the house, right? Because it can start there, but time changes, rates and things happen, and also having a really good mortgage loan officer that you can work with that can educate your client, because it's more than just that pre-approval. It's also like what you have going on. There's gifts, there's just so much that can happen. So, but if you're not ready, willing, and able, like if you're already feeling defeated once you see that number, then that's something that, you know, somebody can't change. So it always goes back to mindset on both ends.
Okay. Have you guys heard of NACA or NACA?
Yes.
Do you guys deal with like NACA, you know, I don't know, I would say people, I don't think that's the right word, but people who have NACA loans?
Yeah, so what you're talking about are like programs that help, right? Kind of in the process of purchasing a home. And that happens a lot of the times. What people forget is that all of these grant programs come with requirements. So sometimes they come with income requirements and they're a lot lower than what you think you're making, you know, or you have to have X amount saved up that you have to show that you have in the bank to show that you're going to be able to afford this house once you're in it, you know? So, you know, programs like that, like it's important to definitely know all that it entails. And sometimes that's what it is in talking to the client. It's preparing them first, knowing how to get them. If they are going to take advantage of that program, what are things that they have to do to be able to do it? Because, you know, a lot of the other thing is a lot of these programs, fortunately or unfortunately, have wait times. So, you know, it's also like, the word is like on the tip of my tongue. What is it when like a wait list? Yeah, there's like a wait list. It's almost like what's the word?
A lottery?
Yes, it's almost like a lottery.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's hard, you know, and like maybe you are in that situation. So like you apply and like we talked about resilience. Like don't give up. Apply again next year. You know what I mean? And same, like there are some people who like they want to go get into the South and then they're fearful of like the taxes. And it's like, yes, but there are programs you can grieve your taxes. There are store programs where you can get a deduction on your taxes. And, you know, there are other avenues like house hacks is what we call it. But, you know, so like that's why I say it's like so important to work with the right people like that who, you know, there's this quote that I love and it's like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And basically it means like, how do I know what questions to ask if I don't know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so, you know, so I feel like that's where, at least for us, like coming from these backgrounds, it's good because personally, I did not grow up with anyone giving me financial literacy or like telling me how to invest my money and like things, conversations like that, you know, building generational wealth was not the conversation at a dinner table. We didn't even need a dinner table, you know?
Exactly.
So that's the difference. And then if you're able to have those conversations with your clients, I think that's why what we're building is so different. And people see it, you know, and when you really show people that like you're out for their generational wealth, like for them to you're here to build them up. I think people resonate and they're like, okay, she really wants to see me win. She's not trying to get the commission at the closing.
I didn't know you guys helped that much. I thought you just sold real estate and you're over here holding the hand all the way through.
All the way.
You just hurt me a little bit.
Well, me personally, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I thought, you know.
I've had, you know, on both ends, like even, I was actually talking about that this morning with my parents. I sold my brother's house, right? And unfortunately, I had to show up an hour early to always go and clean the property before showing because, you know, if you see clutter, you're kind of like, maybe I'll offer 10,000 less. Or, you know, you make excuses as a buyer to try to get that price. And that's the thing. Everyone is always out to get a deal. So you don't see sometimes the amount of work that goes into getting it just to that point, you know?
No, I definitely agree. And I've been down the NACA rabbit hole of like doing research because I got so many questions about it. And I would say that with NACA, they have their own team. So if you do want to use a real estate agent that you know, you have to advocate and say, no, I have someone, because they actually have their own team of mortgage loan officers and real estate agents. And just to do your research because there are certain stipulations that you have to keep the loan for its full term. And if you sell before that, then there will be a lien.
Okay, gotcha.
So just checking the terms and the agreements.
Okay. So I see that you're very prevalent. I follow you, but are you guys like really prevalent on like social media?
You don't know who I am?
Are you an influencer? Don't tell me you have like 20,000 followers. You're about to go viral.
When you said Theo dropping another, I thought you were gonna drop Marissa's line, which is
because I do that. I feel like, hey Gems, it's me back at it again, dropping another gem.
You say dropping another gem. I just say back at it again.
Follow all selling gems.
Okay.
So we're both. Yeah. So I'm the realtor Janelle on Instagram. She's selling _ gems.
Okay.
And we make reels. We educate our clients. We make sure that we show up on socials for sure.
Okay. Does that help for you guys a lot?
Yes, it does. I think also just having that presence. You know, sometimes people forget, like, oh, they do real estate. So seeing us every day. We're always trying to post things that are relevant to the real estate market right now. As you can tell, inventory is low, so you're paying attention. So we're trying to make sure that everyone sees that.
And also sharing our own personalities too, because this is like a business where you need to get to know people. So, you know, showing a little bit of who we are, which we're all different too, even though we have a lot in common. So that kind of shows on our pages. Like Janelle is more of like the jokester, so her content is a little bit more funny. I'm not sure where I stand in all of it.
Her outfits eat though.
The outfits eat and they're cheap. They cheap too, y'all. They're very affordable.
Every time I see Esperanza, you're traveling somewhere. Every time I see you,
But I mean, all to the point of like, that's the luxury that we get of doing real estate is that we get to work very, very hard and 24/7. Let me add, but also. We get to take ourselves out, be in Texas, you know, take these trips or go wherever we need to go and still get the work done. And I think that's the biggest blessing in real estate is that, you know, luxury of time is like, you can't put a price tag on that. So like for me personally, doing this, I'm like, I can keep doing this forever.
So what's some feel-good stories that you guys have with like selling houses or buying houses?
I actually... today marks 4 years. I had my clients who, so before real estate, you know, I came from a public health background. And so when I first got into real estate, it was important who kind of mentors you and who you have around you. I didn't have that. I was still kind of finding myself first and in my business, you know, and I didn't like the people I met in the industry. They were very dollar sign motivated. I am not. I'm more service motivated. And, you know, that family for me, we did an inspection today. I actually have a picture. I'm going to do a post later. And because she already messaged me this morning, like, thank you so much. I know that God orchestrated us meeting you. Like, you know, and it's things like that where I'm like, big man is doing his thing, you know? And so 4 years ago today, we went to go see an inspection for these first-time home buyers that I had. And, you know, in the process, having an accepted offer is not under contract yet. It's technically not yours yet. So we're doing the inspection. This is to sign contracts. And the mom started crying. The son is crying, their little son. The husband is crying. I'm a mush, you know, I'm weeping. My buyers. And they're saying just that, you know, we never thought that we would be able to have a house in this country. This is a dream come true. And that for me, I was like, oh, my purpose is in real estate. I am still helping people because that's what I was missing. I didn't feel like I was helping people. And I was like, oh, you know. So for me, that's where I learned that I have purpose in real estate.
Awesome. What about you guys?
For me, it's kind of similar, but my first client was my aunt. So it meant so much to me just because building generational wealth within my own family, I was like, wow. She had been trying for years before I got my license. I was like, you know, I'll help you guys. And having to be hands-on, like how Esperanza talks about being at the house, you know, cleaning up, I had to be hands-on as far as them getting pre-approved, like helping them get their documents together and things like that, explaining certain financial terms. And once we did get the house, we had been looking for months. You know, my aunt really thanked me. She was like, I don't think we would have been able to do this without you. And it makes me emotional. I'm an emotional person. But I'm just so happy I was able to help them, you know. And now she has her daughters here that came. My family's from Jamaica. And so they're all living together, and I'm just
thankful. I knew you were an island girl.
Is it the blonde braids?
No, I was like, because I'm Haitian. I'm like,
and you know what's crazy? I have a lot of clients who are Haitian. I don't know if something is. So I need to learn a little bit of Creole.
You do.
Yes, but it's, you know, being first generation American, first generation Jamaican. It's big. It's a big deal to own a property here. So the fact that I was able to do that for them, it still sits with me to this day. I told myself, if I don't close any other deals this year, like, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Like, that's good enough. So.
And she's being humble about it. Like, it was new construction. Yeah. The house is beautiful. Like, she did a lot of
sometimes new construction scares me.
It can be, but we did a good inspection. Okay. Yeah, but she did call me actually this year, and she let me know. Like the house prices all went up. So I'm so glad we bought when we were ready. And I'm like, that's what I try to tell. Buy when you're ready.
Always going up. I'm waiting for another 2008. Yes. What was I doing in 2008?
Right.
In college, I was like, man, I should have been buying a house in 2008.
What they say.
So you got to buy when you're ready. And so she's still thankful to this day,
Okay, what about you?
So it was actually clients that I met at the first open house that I did with the team, and they actually signed the agreement at the open house. He was just like, no, I just know it's you. Like, I just know I want to work with you. It was him and his wife. Essentially, they were homeowners. He had a home passed down to him from his mother, but unfortunately, he had to sell it in order to just, it happens sometimes. Yeah. And he was like, now I want to buy a home and build generational wealth for my daughter and my grandchildren. Okay. So they wanted something where him and his wife could live there, and then his daughter, her husband, and their children. And this was in February when we first met. And again, you have to be ready, willing, and able, but sometimes it takes a little time, and sometimes it's not too much time. So they were able to meet with the mortgage loan officer, who was amazing, who helped them, and we checked in, we followed up. Follow-up is important. We, built a relationship, and they were able to close and get their house in October. So we met in February, they got their stuff together, and by October, they were moving into their home. Okay. And he was like, just thank you so much for what you did for my family. And one thing my clients always say is just that, like, you really have a good heart, and like, I really like the fact that, like, you don't judge, if they ever have questions, I'm like, no, that can be confusing, like, and I was learning a lot too, because in other deals, I had a lot of help. So it was kind of like moving really fast. This one kind of moved at a different pace. So I was able to learn a lot from that deal.
What's the fastest deal you guys have worked on? I know, like, it could take months. I mean, a year.
It could take a few days.
A day?
No. Like Christ. A few weeks here in New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think especially if you're a cash buyer, you can close in like less than 30 days. So yeah.
That must be nice.
Almost it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are some like crazy horror stories though? Like you're just telling me.
I've had some horror stories. I've gone to pull up for a listing and the cops are outside. This was like a divorce. I have stories. It was a divorce situation, and I had the listing. And yeah, let's just say the ex-husband was not happy about working with me.
Okay.
But it was court mandated. And, I did, as Janelle said, like, it's important to show up professional. So he only ever got that version of me, even though sometimes he wasn't that pleasant. Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely kind of a horror.
Okay. Okay. That sounds like
day of closing, getting an email like, Esperanza is helping my ex-wife in a fraudulent sale, but I still want this to close. Like in the same sentence. Right. So
that makes no sense.
Okay.
Have you guys had any?
I've been cursed out by a listing agent, and it was crazy. Once again, I stayed professional, but essentially I was trying to negotiate some repairs from my client, and they were mad about it. But they didn't know on the back end that their seller's attorney agreed already. So they called me up, and they're like, oh, we should just take this deal off the table, And I'm just like, hold on, like, it's okay. He was just going off. He's like, I don't know how many years you've been in the business, but I've been in the business for so many years. And I'm just like, did you see the email? Like, just look at the email. And so he goes, oh, it's a joke. And I'm like, what's that?
What do you mean it's a joke?
It was so crazy. So,
Psych.
I just gave them grace, and I was like, everything's already worked out. We're good. We can move forward. But then they ended up calling me back like 10 minutes later, and they were like, I'm so sorry. I just came from a funeral. And I'm just like, okay, this is why you do have to give people some grace, because you don't know what they're going through. Not that it's acceptable, but, people are interesting.
Sometimes you got to hit them with it's above me now.
Yeah, exactly. It's above me. Yeah.
Silence.
But to the same point of like, at least for us as professionals, we never want to be the reason why our clients don't get a house.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it is a relationship business. And I've been in a situation where I don't have the best offer, I don't have the best terms, but I have the best relationship. And that's why my clients get it.
Okay.
You know? So that's why it really is important. Like,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
I
how
don't
do
want
you
to be nobody's horror story. When I used to work in education, I used to be like, yes, you can rap, because you're not going to say that I told you. I ain't never want to be anybody's horror story.
Now Miss Marissa saying, I'm not going to be amount to nothing.
I feel like that was a beautiful.
Meanwhile, it was trash.
Like, no, I'm like, yeah. I've had an agent curse out my client and double down and curse me out, and then they didn't really apologize the next day, but they explained to me why I deserved the cursing out. So I chalked that one up to the game, and I just said, one day I'm gonna be on the other side of this deal, and I'm gonna remember that. So that was the crazy one.
Did that one day come yet?
Huh?
Did that one day?
Not yet. You know how God is. It didn't come. Not yet, but it's gonna come.
Everything comes full circle, especially in business.
Okay.
She was overwhelmed, and he was like, I'm so sorry. Like, it was to the point my client was apologizing for their behavior. Like, I'm sorry, they're about to call you next. I was like, okay. All right. Well, we do the best we can what we got.
So is this like your full team? Is just Marissa and Janelle? Okay, so it's the three of y'all just doing it. How is the housing market in Texas compared to like up here?
Yeah, so they have a buyer's market there, meaning they have inventory. They're basically, they're trying to give the houses away there in a way. They have a lot more perks, I'll say.
Oh, we're in the wrong place.
Great way to invest at least, So yeah, I've been to a couple open houses. I've even looked at some apartments, and essentially they're just giving a lot of perks because developers have come in and they've built these homes. But the population is just different than New York, you know? So people are moving. Well, we're moving down there at like a fast rate, but that rate has slowed down, which given, everything going on politically, that does tend to happen, in an election year or a year where like it's a president's first year, no matter who is in office, people tend to not make a lot of moves. Yeah. So the market there is different in that way because that means that the buyers have a lot more control. When they say it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, it's kind of like who quote unquote has the more control. Yeah. But with a good agent, it could be a seller's market too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So where can we find you guys? I mean, drop your socials again, and how does someone get in contact with you guys if?
Yes. So you could follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. My Facebook is Marissa Disla. My TikTok and my Instagram is Selling Gems. And those are the two. And LinkedIn.
Yeah, I was going to say LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, The Realtor Janelle, and then also Facebook, Janelle Powell. So
same Esperanza Vieira.real estate and Esperanza.real estate on Instagram. Sorry, I drew a blank.
And drop
I keep it simple.
And drop the socials for Jones Hollow.
Yeah, it's Jones Hollow Realty.
Yeah. It's a dog.
Yes.
Oh,
the logo
a
is
Great
a dog.
Dane. Because we dogs.
Yes. We actually have one in the office, and it's like we take rotation.
Yeah.
I'm lying.
I'm on listening to
what? Like, it's her week to feed him.
Okay. Someone said this about me, and I think it's relevant to right now. But you ever hear where like some people have a loud bark, no bite? Mm-hmm. They've been told about me that I have no bark, all bite. And I think that's kind of like about the passion and the work that we end up doing for our clients.
Describe you. That is really good.
Well, watch out for quiet ones.
She's a silent killer. Like
she'll come in and then you're like, oh.
Yeah. Watch out for the small ones.
Exactly. You get more bees with honey.
Yes, definitely.
There you go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right. Well, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you so much, Theo, for having us.